Someone who has never played a D100 game, and there are a ton of them, might not get why they're so popular among the people that do play them. I don't know if I can answer that question, really, but one question I thought I could answer is, what's so special about Call of Cthulhu 4th edition? Here on my shelf you can see a lot of D100 games, and you can see a lot of Call of Cthulhu. And this is nowhere near my Call of Cthulhu collection, but it's just what I have here in Korea. Now, I have the 4th edition here. I have the 5.6 edition. We'll talk about that in a minute. We have the 30th anniversary edition. And then, over here, I have the 2nd edition box set. And we'll take a look at that in a minute, too. Now, I've just said that the 4th edition, I feel, is special. And let's talk about why. To answer that question properly, we really have to go back. Now, I'd like to be able to show you the 3rd edition, and in a sense, I will be showing you the 3rd edition, but my hardcover 3rd edition is in the bunker on the other side of the Earth. But then again, here inside this 2nd edition box set, where I've tucked some Antarctica stuff, here inside the 2nd edition box set, we will actually find Call of Cthulhu 3rd edition. So, it's part of the madness of Cthulhu. So, in the 2nd edition box set, we got the 3rd edition of the rules, but box sets were kind of on their way out then. And not long after, it was published in hardcover for the 3rd edition. And a lot of support began to appear. Support which had started to appear during this period, this 2nd edition period. And 4th edition compiled all of this stuff together under one set of covers. Now, what kind of stuff are we talking about? Right, so we've got, in the box set, we have an investigator's book, we have the keeper's book, we have a 1920s source book, we have this fabulous world map. All right. All, neatly contained in a box. Not too big, and take a careful look at the layout and design of these rules, because we're going to see them again. Right, so this is the inside of the 3rd edition Keeper's booklet for the 2nd edition of Call of Cthulhu. Right, and this is the player's book. Right, pretty text heavy. Right. Okay, map of Massachusetts. And then the source book for the 20s had all kinds of cool stuff in it, like this dirigible and oh, don't look at that. These are adventures, and the railway cars and that sort of stuff. And then we had the map of the world. All right. So this was what the game was like when it was younger. Well, after going through the hardcover phase, we get to the 4th edition softcover. Voila. Now, I've always felt the 4th edition has been the most atmospheric, and you may question that once we look inside it, but I'll explain. The 3rd edition hardcover used a cover featuring these characters, or characters like these, and you've definitely seen the image before, and you've seen the tentacle imagery before. And this was the style prior to 4th edition. Some kind of creepy old house, some kind of tentacle, and terrified-looking investigators, perhaps making a break for it, or convincing themselves maybe they don't want to go in tonight. But then we get 4th edition, and its cover is much more, well, let's say, Cthulhu-oriented, featuring Cthulhu himself on the cover. Then we get inside, 4th edition. Then we get inside and we see, well, really a lot of the same material. Some of it fleshed out a little more, but, you know, we saw that before. Printed in the same style, you know, the Chaosium style. But just every little bit more evolved toward horror than before. Incremental improvements. Now, the book itself was very finely bound, right? Really well put together, solid even after years of use and maybe abuse. But then we get to other aspects. The color plates in the center of the book certainly grip you. And of course, this, like everything else in the 4th edition, came from previous editions, from previous books. This is more like a compilation than anything else, but a compilation which aims itself directly at creating the experience of Call of Cthulhu. All right, there's the 3rd edition hardcover cover. That's quite the tentacle. So, why do I say that this edition, in my opinion, is the most atmospheric? It's primarily because everything that you needed to use to create the atmosphere, the background, the historical feel, and the horror of the game is all together under one set of covers. And it's focused specifically on the 1920s. After this point, Call of Cthulhu's main rulebook became even more of a toolkit. Now, there's no real argument that the newer editions are better put together in terms of organization than the 4th edition. The 4th edition really is a combination of pre-existing supplements from the rules books put together as they were and supplements added in as they were, where from the 5th edition onward they were written in a manageable sequence and well indexed so you could find things. All the same information is in both, but more information is in here and from different eras, and that's really what it comes down to. When you read this, you are immersed in Call of Cthulhu in its original era, the 1920s, and guided through learning how to play this game and running through some excellent adventures that help you get ready to run it and start your own campaigns. I'm not saying this doesn't help you learn to run Call of Cthulhu, but you're constantly confronted with choices. These are also options, but in which era do I want to run it? And I feel that this comes at the cost of 4th edition's atmosphere. So 7th edition is on the horizon. I will, of course, be adding it to my collection. I have every other edition, so why not 7th? 7th will be a huge departure from what has come before for those of us who've been playing it for a long time. But it may be an excellent vehicle into the game for those who've never played it. And I'm looking forward to seeing it arrive. But that doesn't mean I won't always have a place in my heart and on my shelf for 4th edition.